Okay, so can you shift to the next slide? And one more. We have two presentations today, and we'll be giving each presenter about 20 minutes and then 10 minutes for Q&A afterwards so people can learn more about the different areas. So our first presenter this morning is ʻāina Akamu. She's a proud member of the Kaʻū community and now serves as a teacher, program director for the Kaʻū Global Learning Lab, as well as the director of curriculum and instruction at Kaʻū High School. And so I pulled from their website, which is also on the slide, these three pieces because I found them really powerful. So the belief is the foundation of any successful community is learning. The vision is a vibrant, thriving, sustainable Kaʻū. And the strategy is to synergize the best knowledge, resources, and influencers globally and locally. And there are a couple videos on that website, and there are these parts at the very beginning of the top one where students talking about that feeling of I can be successful and how we can nurture our students to create that feeling inside of them and that self-confidence. So I encourage you to check that out when you have a time. But I also see, ʻāina, I don't know if you want to influence or introduce your colleagues, because I see we have a couple others here as well, but the time is all yours.
All right, mahalo nui loa, Julie, and aloha to everyone joining us today. As Julie said, my name is ʻāina, and I live out here in Kaʻū, and I work out here in Kaʻū. And when I look at this picture, it's so funny because this picture was totally pre-COVID. So we're wearing these masks after that big, first eruption that happened, and all that ash was falling all over Kaʻū. And so the reporters came out and were interviewing us about all the ash. So little did we know that this was just a precursor to our lives today. So I think that's funny looking back at that photo. So I think the first thing I do want to start with is just acknowledging the fact that what's really awesome about this effort that I get to be a part of is that it really is a collaborative effort that really takes a team. So even though I might be the one that gets elected to share about this effort, I'm really happy that our principal, Mrs. Sharon Beck, was able to join us today. As you can imagine, our public school principals are extremely busy running here and there, and always getting called in a million directions. So thank you to our principal for being here. Also, I have a few really important members of our Kaʻū Global Learning Lab team. Dexalyn Navarro is our Academy Director and working with us on our curriculum and our professional development for our teachers. And we also have Jennifer Makuakane, who's our program coordinator, who is essential to everything that we do, and in particular is working really hard on our student internship programs. And she's also our early college coordinator at our school. Additionally, we do have one of our global partners who was able to jump on and join us today, and he is Professor Naoaki Hirata. He is from My Farm, Japan, and he does happen to be in Kaʻū at the moment, and he comes about once a month to help us connect our education in the field of agriculture to what's innovative and to what they're doing in Japan. So it's really an honor to have all of them to be able to join us for our presentation today. So what I wanted to do was just share a little bit, and can I share my screen? Is that, oh, okay.
Yes,
yeah.
You should be able to, but let me know if you cannot.
Awesome, yes. All right, here we go. Oh wait, wrong one. That's not the one. So as you guys might have been able to tell, we are constantly updating our documents, and in this Zoom virtual world, I always have a million tabs. I'm like, where's that tab? Where's that shared document? Okay, here we go. I think we're on this one. So A lot of the information about what we're doing for our Kaʻū Global Learning Lab is on our school website. So I did put the link in the chat earlier, so you can kind of check it out there. And it shares just a little bit about what our Global Learning Lab program is. Also, we shared a link to this document. And this document has just a lot of program information about our Global Learning Lab. So that's something you can download. All those links are public. And you can feel free to access them and kind of take a look at them a little later on also. All right. So a lot of people ask me, what exactly is this thing called the Kaʻū Global Learning Lab? And essentially, it's part of our Kaʻū High and Pahala Elementary School. And when our principal was working with a group of us at school to really think about how can we transform the outcomes for our students at our school, what we realized was that it can't just be about us at the school and getting our kids to a diploma at 18 and then that's it. Right, what we realized is that it's going to take this whole community to get us to where we need to be. It's not just the teacher's responsibility to raise and teach these kids, right? It's the entire community. And what we realized is, as we started moving forward with this idea, we realized that our community is 150% behind us in everything that we're doing. They totally support the school and the students, and the amount of volunteer hours and donations and just the overwhelming support has really been amazing. So essentially what we're developing is a community resiliency model for our community. And it's really based on the belief that learning is what makes a community successful. It's not about the assets that you have, right? It's not about the income bracket of the people who live there, right? Really, it's about, does your community have this foundation based on learning and continual learning? Right? And that means, right, ikawama mua, ikawama hope. It means looking to the past to learn, but also looking to the future and where we want to be. For us in Kaʻū, the vision essentially is a vibrant and a thriving and a sustainable Kaʻū, right? And that's what matters for our school. And it's so odd to find a K-12 public school who has the vision of a vibrant community. Right? Not just our graduates are going to do this and that. We want this whole entire community to be vibrant so that people can live, work, play, and thrive here, right? We want it to also be sustainable. And what we found, especially during the pandemic, is that way out in Kaʻū, with the amount of natural resources we have, there is still a lot of food insecurity that our community faces. Essentially, our strategy to make this all happen is we can't do it alone. And let's see what partners we can find locally as well as globally who can provide us with knowledge, resources, influence, capital. And essentially what we've been able to do is put together really a transformative program that I think is really going to change our community for the better. It starts with our academy program. So we are transforming our school into a career academy school. What's unique about our school is that we're pre-K through 12. One of the very few schools in the entire state that has that entire continuum. And so although we're starting with transformations at our high school, really this is going to affect all students from grades pre-kindergarten all the way until they exit in high school. Our first academy that we've created, we've called our Academy of Agripreneurship. The reason being is Kaʻū has some of the most amazing natural resources, and our keiki are the best people to become the stewards of that. And they already know how to fish, hunt, dry fish, pick salt, fix tractor, drive ATV, right? But what we also got to teach them is how do you combine that with, right, the entrepreneurial skills to be creative, make a go of it way out here in Kaʻū. Right? How do you leverage social media? How do you develop a brand that is uniquely Kaʻū? And what is your brand identity? How do you create a personal story with what you're creating and put it out there for the consumers to love and become attached to, because it reminds them of the good old days, right? When where they live, you know, used to be all nice, but now maybe hotels or concrete or freeway or military base. Right? So what we're really trying to do through our academy program is to build the youth leaders of our Kaʻū through three main strategies. The first is school design. We got to build our collective values and mindset, right? We gotta develop our infrastructure, we gotta invest in our teachers, and then we gotta collaborate with our community partners. And that's what school design means for us. It also has to be based on student voice. Our students have to be an integral part of designing their learning experiences. And it doesn't matter that the student, right, or the community may be the expert, because everybody involved is here to learn and to grow together. So even for our teachers, this is an important part of our teachers' learning and our teachers' growth. For us, one of the main things that we realize that's going to help us promote these things is an investment in our teachers. So a big part of what we're doing is getting our teachers to work together, to collaborate, so that when students move from one subject to the next, they'll see the connection and they'll see and understand the relevance. So here you'll see some pictures of what was basically in February 10 feet of guinea grass and just a bunch of bushes to now our thriving small little school farm. So while, you know, a lot of students did struggle during the pandemic, I was very fortunate that we had a group of students that came to school during the pandemic and built a sustainable school farm. So that's just some of the things that we're working on. Perhaps the most exciting thing for our community is that what we realize is that our school needs to be the community learning hub. And we cannot just be there to provide educational opportunities for our students and their PAU at 18. Our biggest and our best community partner right now is Hawaii Community College. It's because of our partnership with Hawaii Community College that through our Academy program, we're able to align our high school agriculture courses and the Hawaii Community College agriculture courses so that our students will be completing all of the ag certificate assessments, and prior to high school graduation, they'll be able to earn a certificate in landscaping, a certificate in farm work, a certificate of achievement in ag, and for those that are most diligent, even an associate of applied science in agriculture. We are able to do this also because of the tremendous support of our community partners. So through the Freeman Foundation, we've been able to receive a significant grant that eliminates financial barriers to early college. So regardless of the price tuition increase that happened recently and the reduction in our legislature funding, we do have now donors who believe in what we're doing and believe in our community that have committed to these early college pathways. What we also want to do is extend these opportunities for higher education, as well as industry certification, and extend them to our community. So as we're able to build these pathways for our high school students, we also want to find ways to extend these opportunities for members of our community. Just because they're 18 and they've graduated does not mean that we cannot help and support them. And so we believe that through this effort and the connections with all of our educational partners, we'll be able to provide tremendous opportunity for our community, as well as our students in things like workforce development. We also have some amazing educational partners like the Harold Castle Foundation, the Freeman Foundation, Claremont McKenna College, as well as the Strata Education Network, as well as a host of local and community business partners who have signed on and committed to providing student internships, teacher externships, knowledge, resources, and capital to help us achieve our goals for this program. So that's really awesome. The third thing that we're trying to do essentially is to build upon our global partnerships, because we believe that our kids in Kaʻū are leaders of this world, not just of this island or of this state or of this nation, but really of leaders of the world. And so what we want to do is increase opportunities for our students to connect with partners around the world, to connect around things like the United Nations Sustainable Goals. We want our students to move forward the Aloha Plus Challenge in our Kaʻū community. And we're looking especially for partners who can bring our students opportunities in education, science, technology, as well as various research and development type innovations. Last but not least, if you can believe it, this was our school farm in May. And now we're like really productive. If you look on the right side of this picture, that greenhouse, you can see there's no plastic, like we're just trying to get our aquaponics growing. And in the past first school quarter, we were able to harvest about 500 pounds of hydroponic lettuce and bok choy and basil out of that small little hydroponic greenhouse that we have on the side. What we're also trying to do is work with a lot of these community partners so that we can build and support sustainable community enterprise. To be honest, what this comes down to is a simple fact that when my student graduates at 18, if they want to continue their Liliʻi butter business, they're looking at a lot of challenges, right? If they want to grow anything, it's going to take water, money, land. We look at the Go Farm program and the amazing, things that the support that types of program provides. And what we realized is we need stuff like that in Kaʻū. Google the Maui Food Innovation Center, connected with Maui, the UH Maui College. Amazing what they're doing, connecting the high schools with the businesses, with the education sector, to really provide connections for the students. What we believe is that we need to create these opportunities for our students here in Kaʻū, and we need to harness the resources to make that happen. And that's why we're looking at partners like Waihata, the largest food distributor, and Hawaii Agriculture Foundation, looking at how can we really try to increase our production at our school. Because one of our main goals is we want to reduce the food insecurity in our community. The main goal for us growing all of this food is simply to feed our community. Our second goal is to be sustainable financially. Our first goal is to feed our community. And part of that is when students graduate, giving them new opportunities, the access that they need to be able to take their entrepreneurship and business ideas and continue it into the future. One of the documents that's linked in there is essentially this overall roadmap. And as you can take a look, this is the large, big vision of the Kaʻū Global Learning Lab. Start with the school as the heart, because if all else fails, the school is what's going to remain. This year celebrates for Kaʻū 140 years since our doors first opened. We are one of the oldest schools, and I like to share that our school was started by the Kingdom of Hawaii Board of Education, right? So we were a kingdom school that was established by our ali'i, and we continue on till this day. And this is our vision for us going forward, is transforming our schools, utilizing this academy model, K-12, building our learning hub, developing our partnerships, and looking at how to harness more infrastructure and resources. Also, just to share a little bit more about our academy program, essentially, the reason we also started with Agripreneurship is we want to prepare our students to be environmentally responsible, community members, right? And also entrepreneurs who practice mālama ʻāina and can contribute to the socioeconomic resiliency of our community, of Hawaii, and the world. And our vision is that our students are successful creators and innovators who are prepared for whatever challenge is presented before them. Essentially, we want in our first few years of our academy to build a resilient community food system where our school farm is at the hub and the center of that. We're looking at developing within our Agripreneurship Academy programs of study in ag, natural resources, STEM, entrepreneurship, creative media, as well as culinary arts. And we've been able to sit and meet with a lot of the department chairs at Hawaii Community College who are super excited about how we can align what we do at our school to get our students, the first few credits or a third of the way there, or even halfway there while they're in high school, and eliminate half of that financial barrier. And with some of these big partners, right, what I'm trying to share with them is if we can get the kids halfway, right, for free while they're in high school, you guys got to come in and take care of the other half. So that's where we're going after, some of these bigger foundations, et cetera, to try to build financial resilience for our students to be able to continue and finish their college certificates, degrees, as well as their industry certifications. So I'm going to just close by sharing perhaps one of the most awesome things that we've been able to develop and that Jen is coordinating for our school as our internship program for our students. Through our most recent Governor's Gear Grant, we are able to provide 120 students with 40 hours of work-based learning, which will be paid. So all of our students will be paid for working with a local community mentor, employer, a local business, etc. And when you think about it, 120 students being able to spend 40 hours, by the end of this year, we're looking at a total of about 5,000 work-based learning hours for our students. And coming off a COVID pandemic year, that's such an ambitious goal. And the reason that we are ambitious is because we know we have a great team. We have the passion and the love for our community. And when we reach out to people in our community to be mentors for our students, our community is just coming out in full force to support, saying, yep, you know, I'll mentor students, I'll help, I can do it virtually, you know, because of the health and safety factors that might be involved, etc. So we're always looking for more folks who would like to be a mentor to our students. And I think these are two things, you know, the internships and the mentoring, that's really gonna make a difference for our students. Because again, there's only so much that kumu ʻāina can share with the kids after they're like, it's kumu ʻāina again, right? But when it's auntie or uncle from the community or for the ranch that's a fisherman, right, that they know and see differently, that they're working with specifically to build, right, their employability skills, it becomes a different relationship. So that's in a nutshell our Kaʻū Global Learning Lab that we've been able to work on developing. I'm just really thankful that I do have a great team that's working with me. And yeah, I guess we're open for questions now if anybody has any questions or anything that they want to ask. Or if anybody from our team has anything to share that maybe I missed, also I'm Sharon or Jen or Decky. Yeah, feel free also if you guys have something. But thank you very much for giving us this time. We really, really, really appreciate it. And it's really nice to meet everyone.
That was an amazing presentation. And throughout the presentation, I hear a lot of places, right, where people might be able to contribute in different ways. So I want to see if I'm capturing them, and anybody, you know, from the team, please respond and articulate what we can. Because at the end of the meeting, one of the questions on the survey is there a way that you can contribute to these programs and efforts that are going on, and what would that look like? So it's helpful for us to know, like, what is it that will help you to reach your goals for your community. So I hear mentorship, and you can also be specific about whether you're looking for people who are from Kaʻū specifically, or can be across the island, you know, island-wide. Beyond that, you know, my background is actually in international programs, so, you know, what does that look like for you? And extending this program to people who have already graduated, what would you need to be able to do that? And then another one was global partners in different areas. So there may be more. I may have missed some, but those are, I was taking a lot of notes, and those are some that I jotted down.
I'll start with our internships, mentorships, etc. Those are things that we definitely need help with. But a few things that I think right now that we're really working on, that's kind of the heart of what we're trying to do, is really our certification programs for our students, working with Hawaii Community College to align our programs and work on our MOAs. Yesterday, we had a really awesome press conference. And so Joni Onishi came, and she's like my favorite person in the whole world, because this lady, if not for her, we wouldn't have gotten to the place that we were able to get to. And what I told her was, is there a way that we can pay you now that you're retired to help us continue putting together our next MOAs, because things are changing? And she's like, I know, I'll do it for free. No, you don't understand, this is really important. And I really believe in that. And so that's something that's actually really, I think because of the strong partnerships and people who believe in it, I think that's moving forward. And the funny thing is, what is it going to take to extend these opportunities to our community? Not a lot. That's what we realized. And we realized is that through some of our grant partners, we can essentially pay for the tuition costs that's associated with these classes. And we're not just talking about classes, but we're looking at industry certifications, right, for people in our community. Also tech certifications, Adobe certifications, etc. And so we're working with Jessica at Hawaii Community College to really look at, what kind of menu of programs can we put together for our community? Commercial drone pilot is a big one. But always one of the challenges is always finding qualified people. There's only so many professors of ag at Hawaii CC. Right? There's only so much money that goes around. And Lou is like our favorite person, brought us the salad yesterday. And Professor Hirata too, the chef at Hawaii CC, are like always sending food out to our school, and they're just super awesome. But really it's always about, building that workforce, and honestly, what I really think we need to focus on is we got to fix this early college program, because it doesn't set up kids to go to the community colleges. It really, really doesn't. It just gives them this kind of random collection of classes. So I really believe in the idea of what we're trying to work on with Glendy and with Jessica is let's package these courses together so they add up to a certificate. So the kid can get a certificate by the time they graduate from high school, right? And then they might only have 20 or 30 more credits to get that associate's degree, right? And that once we get them on that track, we know we can keep moving them forward. The reason that the ag program is dying at the community college, right, is because, right, ag has died at the high school. We also don't have high school ag teachers, right? So I talked to this girl, her name is Tiana. We got to meet her because our kids volunteered with Lou's ag kids at the aquaponics greenhouse. Tiana came out every single month to our community work days, help us like weed eat and pull weeds and put the new plastic over our greenhouse. And we need to develop more people like that who wanna come to the community college, get their degree for 2 years, and go right back and start working and producing, right? And getting right in there with the community. We need to also support the survival of a lot of these programs at the community college, because with a lot of the issues with budget, etc., UH Hilo cannot just be the center of ag for this island. The community college serves much more of the needs that we have in Kaʻū. So we need to continue these partnerships with our community college as well. So I think that's kind of what really we're working on is, continuing these conversations with the people that need to be there so that we can kind of try to eliminate some of the structural barriers that exist. And then I think for us, it's all about building that workforce, right? If we can feed 20 students into Hawaii Community College every year, and they only have to go for 1 more year and they're finished their associate's degree, it's a win-win for everybody and the workforce, right? And this community and this island. And we know we can do that. Sharon, I don't know if you wanted anything else or if that answered your questions, Julie.
No, you're doing awesome, ʻāina. I'm just very blessed to have such an awesome team. I love Kaʻū. So yes, no, ʻāina, you said it very nicely. Thank you.
Mahalo. I want to open it up for any other questions for the team.
Mahalo nui loa also to all the positive mana'o from everyone in the chat. We really appreciate all of the awesome words and thoughts. And mahalo nui to our ohana from Miloliʻi. Also, Kaʻini were cousins. My grandma and Auntie Sarah were first cousins. When I was a little kid, we used to go over there and eat fish on the steps right across of the boat ramp. That was like my childhood. So aloha, nice to see all of you from Miloliʻi also.
Aloha. I first wanted to also extend a mahalo to certainly Principal Beck and ʻāina and the members of the Kaʻū Global Learning Lab. I also want to say that the other formula, in addition to that close partnership between secondary and of course the community college, and will create other pathways as students even go further, whether it's CTAR or UH-Hilo's Kabner program, but how important it is that this particular program has strong support from industry. We can, teach folks how to fish, but if there's not enough fish in the ocean or economic opportunities thereafter within the community and industry partners. Today at NPR, they began to announce some developments and investments in the Kaʻū community, like a new KTA shopping center. I mean, all these things, all these investments as we build workforce, it's really that right formula to make this happen. So this is just a really transformative initiative. And certainly on behalf of Hawaii Community College, we're proud to be a part of it.
Hello everyone, my name is Courtney Ludwig. I work for a small nonprofit organization here in Hilo. We are statewide, and I did drop our flyer in the chat. So we're slowly growing, and I'm just here to observe and see what's going on out there. I am a strong believer in vibrant Hawaii, so I just wanted to participate and observe. And I'm grateful to be part of this and hearing all of the wonderful things that's happening out in Kaʻū. And we do have a lot of grant opportunities available. I'm not sure if you heard about our program, but I figured I'd just drop a flyer in the chat. So if you folks want to review it and have any other questions, feel free to contact me directly.
Mahalo, Courtney. And if anybody's interested, if you scroll up into the chat bar, she did drop its a PDF, and it says Farmer Finance Program. So mahalo for that, and we appreciate you joining us today and sharing with us your opportunities. That's what we have these meetings for as well. So mahalo for that. And Aina just dropped his email. So email mahalo anytime. So if you guys have questions that you'd like to contact Aina directly, please go ahead and do so. And do we have any other questions in the chat? Nope. Anybody else have any comments before I move on?
I just want to ask if Dex and Jen, they tend to not share much, but I would love for them to share because they are also alumni of Kaʻū. They've been in the community. You know, their kids, you know, are in school here, etc. So yeah, I would love for them to share too before we wrap them and give them a chance to share.
Oh, thank you so much, Aina. I do want to say that I'm in my 21st year in education, and my heart was always at Kaʻū. I am an alumni of Kaʻū. In fact, right now, we have our 4th generation from my family who are students at Kaʻū. And this change is so amazing. I'm so blessed to be a part of it. I am very excited to see this come through. And like I said, it's my 21st year, so it's gonna come through before I retire. So I'm so excited about that. But just bringing our community together, we've been struggling with so many challenges and obstacles and problems here. And not only just bringing this idea or this fact that learning is so important, and not only for our kids, but for our parents. It's gonna empower them, and just building our community. I just can't, I'm very excited to see where this is going. So any support that we can get, and we have been blessed with a lot of support, but it does take the whole community to teach our children and to build what we are trying to build for sustainability and just to bless this community. And when we bless this community, others will see that they can do it too. And that's the exciting part. Thank you.
When we first started this, we didn't realize how much COVID had revealed to us. And then as we started going through, and like they said, with the obstacles that we've had, it's been a struggle for several years and not just something that came out through COVID. But having this initiative, and what I'm excited to see is how we transform Kaʻū one step at a time, and how this can be shared with other people and other places, not only within Hawaii, but extending all the way far out, and how this can transform and thrive and really be more sustainable for not just us, but everyone else, and take this model as an opportunity to just help our world become a better place. And what better way to start it than with us here with all of our aloha. So we thank everybody for the support and the help and the, sorry, that's our bell. and just a constant like tight knit, and like what we've seen with Hawaii Community College, just how we all rally together and our hands are crossed together and we hold tight and we just lift each other up. So this is very uplifting and encouraging, and I hope that get passed on.
I'm sorry, can I say something now too again? Well, I just want to say, because it is making an impact already in the short time that we've been transforming, just in our students and what they share out about enjoying being in school, feeling that they're connected. Moving to this academy style, there's just a group of teachers working with the same group of students. So the students are really like wrapped around and looking at their needs and their social emotional learning. And so it's just really exciting to be on campus and just hear it and feel it, that the culture is changing also, that there's relevance, and and the kids are understanding why they're learning and what it's for. So it is very exciting.
Mahalo to all of you for sharing those thoughts. We we really center a lot of what we talk about in education within Vibrant Hawaii, in how we can make education both meaningful, so that it's meaningful to students' personal lives. It doesn't feel like this, like here's school and here's real world, right? That these are two things, these are all together. And that it's relevant. That idea that what we are doing is going to be important for me in moving toward whatever goals I have for myself, right? And so I love that this is absolutely a program that does both of those things, and that sense of culture shifting and creating, kids actually being excited to go to school, or happy to be there and feeling like it's a positive part of their lives is so critical. So thank you so much to all of you for sharing. So we're going to shift gears here and go to our second presentation, and I'll let Tamia present them, introduce them.
Aloha mai kako, everybody. My name is Tamia McCaig, and I am the co-chair here at Vibrant Hawaii. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you today my former colleagues at Kuokala Hīpuʻu Virtual Academy. So super excited. Mahalo for joining us today. So we have Pili Mai Chop, who is our Kumu Vai Vai, and she has a short bio here. Are you guys seeing my screen? Just checking. Yes, okay, good. So she received her MA in Educational Leadership from Chaminade University. She has a BA in Aquatic Biology from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and a secondary math and science teaching credentials from the University of California, Santa Barbara. She has been an educator in Hawaii for over 35 years, teaching in private, public, and charter schools, and at Hawaii Pacific University Ocean Oceanic Institute. She joined Kuaʻokala in 2013 with the Hīpuʻu Virtual Academy in Miloliʻi, where she teaches science, math. In teaching at Miloliʻi, she is surrounded by haumana who are keiki of Makua I taught 18 years ago. I love working in Miloliʻi, and I feel honored to teach the next generation of youth living in Hawaii's last fishing village. I have always had Helena with the ocean. The ocean not only provides nourishment and recreation, it is a place that heals me spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. I have spent my life connected with the ocean, studying, learning, voyaging, and continually being amazed by the beauty it holds. So welcome, Kilimai. And we have Kaʻimi Kaupiko joining us today, and he is Kumukula Ha'aha'a. Kaʻimi na mea Elua Kaupiko is a keiki o Kaʻū of Miloliʻi, a child of the land. Kaʻimi grew up learning the traditional fishing practices of Miloliʻi. Miloliʻi remains one of Hawaii's last fishing villages, an isolated community that survives through subsistence fishing. For Kaʻimi, his foundation has always been built on education and culture. Mr. Kaupiko grew up learning from his kupuna about the value of hard work and about the need to take care of his place. Kaʻimi attended Ho'okena Elementary and graduated from Kona Waina High School, class of 2001. He then attended UH Manoa and received a bachelor's in business, focusing on marketing and management information systems. He received an MBA in 2013 from Wayland Baptist University, and finally received his teaching certificate from Ko'ohiwai in secondary education with a focus in social studies in 2016. He has been working with Kuaʻokala since 2012 as a volunteer for the online program called Hīpuʻu, and an online teacher since 2016. Kaʻimi's true passion is to help provide a space for the future generations of his community and to the rural areas of Hawaii Island. For Kaʻimi, the work of the future is never ending as he continues to put his resources towards those efforts. He knows that tomorrow will be better than today if we work together to make our communities a better place. So welcome, Kaʻimi. And lastly, we have Levalyn Kakupu, and she is of Kako'o. And she has her BA in Hawaiian Studies from the University of Hawaii. She's been working at Kuaʻokala for about 8 years now. She is a Lawaʻa fisher lady from the last Hawaiian fishing village of Miloliʻi. I love photography, art, freediving, and writing, to name a few. I believe in Olelo no Eau, A'ohe pau ka ike I ka halau ho'okahi. All knowledge is not learned in just one school. One can learn from many sources. If I can be a source for learning and teaching, I will do whatever I can to be a great one. This is why I'm passionate about teaching overall. My kupuna instilled this ike into me when I was very young, and I mahalo them for this. So welcome, Le. So the floor is yours, and if you guys need to share your screens, you can go ahead and do so.
Mahalo, Tamia.
Okay. Velina mai kako o wau o Levalyn Kaʻū no Miloliʻi ka palilua mai au. E hana wau ma ke kula o Kuaʻokala Internship Public Charter School. O wau no ke kumu kakoʻo a I ole ka mea kopua, a'o a kakoʻo digital media. Ua hui pū ia me Kuaʻokala Hīpuʻu no e walu mau makahiki kia manawa. Velina mai kako, I am Levalyn Kaʻū and I am from Miloliʻi in South Kona. I am the kumu kako'o or educational assistant and digital media kako'o. And I have been with Kuaʻokala Hīpuʻu for 8, going on 9 years now. The Hīpuʻu program started at Kuaʻokala in 2011. In 2012, the Hīpuʻu expanded to include students and staff from Miloliʻi. Hīpuʻu refers to the knots that bind the strands of a fishing net together. And the mana'o behind Hīpuʻu came from Kumupua Mendonca. And her vision was seeing the upena or net thrown across the ʻāina of Hawaii, and wherever the Hīpuʻu or knot of the net landed would be either a Hīpuʻu site or a Hīpuʻu student. The Hīpuʻu program aims to bind together learning, culture, students, and families into a supportive network of communities. The Hīpuʻu program serves the entire Hawaii Island, and we have students from 4th to 8th grade. And we also have about 70% Native Hawaiian population, and we are a Title I school. So, mahalo kako.
Aloha mai kako. Where am I at? Oh. Where am I? Shoot. O ka imi ko inoa noho au I Miloliʻi. Hana au me ke kula o ka la Hīpuʻu online blended program. Aloha everybody, my name is Kaʻū. I am Kuma here at Kuokala, and we're just so blessed to be here, and mahalo for our previous presentation with ʻāina, and I'm just glad to come and share my aloha today with you guys all.
Aloha mai kako o pili mai tribe au inoho mai au I Pohui. Aloha, I'm pili mai tribe. I live in the Ahuaha of Pohui. I'm the science and math kumu for Kuokala Public Charter School online virtual Hīpuʻu program. I would like to send a special mahalo to Vibrant Hawaii for their support that they have provided Kuokala and our communities around Hawaii Island during this time of COVID and uncertainty. I'd also like to share a special mahalo to Tamia for being our point of contact for today. It takes a village to raise a child. That saying is so true here for us in Miloliʻi because we have so many community partners that are a part of our program. I just want to briefly mention of a few very important community partners, including Kamehameha Schools, OHA, Ho'oulu Lahui, Arizona State University, Hawaii Pacific University, Oceanic Institute, just to name a few of our community partners and our mentors, our community mentors that help provide a unique ʻāina-based program for our youth around Hawaii Island. I also want to say mahalo to our poʻokumu, Kapola Thompson, and also a special mahalo to Susie Osborne and to Kapola, to Keiki Aloha Kekipi, our founders. Without their vision and leadership, we wouldn't be here today. So mahalo nui loa, because I know Susie is on right now. Mahalo, Susie. So as a Hawaiian-focused charter school, we have worked collaboratively with Kamehameha Schools over the past several years to build our Hawaiian cultural-based education using culturally relevant assessment tools that were developed collectively by all of our 17 Hawaiian-focused charter schools and Kamehameha Schools Ho'olako Like program. Our Hawaiian-based curriculum is aligned to our mission, our values, our vision, state standards and national standards, and of course to Na'opena A'o. Our ʻāina-based projects, to name a few, we do an ʻāina ola culinary class. We have a native Hawaiian garden down in Miloliʻi that is very unique because it still has endemic, a number of endemic plants that we are trying to restore. We have had a coastal monitoring program for a number of years. We work in collaboration with Hawaii Pacific University Oceanic Institute to do environmental DNA work. We have been doing plane table mapping for a number of years also, which is surveying cultural sites. We have community service learning projects around the island. Makahiki, we prepare our students for Makahiki first semester. And of course, we do cultural exchange programs with groups around the world. So we like to start our day. After we have our morning protocol, we go straight into the kilo. Our kilo rooted in Papaku Makavalu, where we look at the three realms: Papahuli Lani, everything of the heavens; Papahuli Honua, everything of the ʻāina, of the Honua, of the earth; and Papahanau Moku. We encourage our kids to go to their panana, their special place where they will observe and really observe their environment. Make observations of each of the papa, and over time try to notice patterns that are taking place in our environment. It is so important that our haumana know their wahi, know their place, and by kiloing every day, by doing kilo every day, they become more familiar with their environment and with their wahi. So we spend at least 20 to 30 minutes for them to do kilo after kilo, because we are meeting virtually and face-to-face down in Miloliʻi. So we then take at least another 30 minutes for our students to share their kilo around the Hawaii Island. And that's a really rich experience, because then our students are able to see what's happening around the entire island and share actually what's, visually on their computers, what is actually the weather patterns taking place. So that's been very rich for our students to share.
Kalamai Pilimai, can you put in presentation mode and go to the slide you're on? Because we're only seeing the cover.
What? Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Susie, for mentioning this. I am in presentation mode, I thought. So you guys could see this slide. So when I go into presentation mode, you guys aren't seeing the entire slide presentation when I move through it?
No.
No, Pilimai. Maybe I think Lei was gonna share the slides, and then we're just gonna do our part.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Lei, if you wanna share.
I don't know why it's not advancing through my presentation.
No worries. We can try again.
I'm so sorry, guys. On my end, it looks like it's working.
I'm glad to know we're not the only teachers that have these problems in Kaʻū. So thank you, Kuʻokala, for making us feel better. Happens to us all the time.
Oh, goodness. That's why yeah.
Pilimai, it's still on the notes. Oh, now it's in presentation. Maybe, hopefully.
Yeah,
or Lei's sharing.
Lei's sharing now. Yeah. Mahalo,
Okay.
Lei.
Here it looks better.
Which slide were you on, Pilimai?
Is it in presentation mode?
Lei will hit. Yes, it is.
It goes back and forth. Try go to the presentation mode, Lei.
Okay, let me. Oh, Kalamai. Oh, it's my dog.
It's in
Okay,
presentation.
you're in presentation.
Yeah, there it is.
But maybe just flip through. What slide were you on, Pilimai? Oh, now it
I
went
was
up.
still on slide 3.
But once you switch it, Lei, it goes back to the other mode, the notes.
Let me try. Hopefully it stays. Loading.
There should be like a little arrow that pops up at the bottom.
Okay,
there you go.
That's perfect,
Yeah,
and
you
that's
got
the
it.
slide we're on.
Oh, there we are. Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you so
you
much,
got 'em.
Lei. Mahalo, Lei. Okay, so yeah, so a big part of our day or our morning online with our students is for them to share, go out, observe their environment for 20 minutes, record their observations, and then they come back and share. So we spend about an hour online between having the kids go out and make their observations and then come back and sharing. So this is a big part of our morning. Can you go to the next slide, Lei? Thank you. We have been doing plain table mapping. Originally, it was with Kamehameha Schools. This was back in, I want to say, I believe Kuokala started back in 2009 doing plain table mapping with Kamehameha Schools with their, and basically students work with archaeologists to learn surveying techniques. These are 17th century surveying techniques where students integrate math, science, again, their kilo skills, their observation skills, and they basically map out archaeological sites. Predominantly, the sites have been on West Hawaii, at Heiau. They map the Holua at Kaniaka, and also the Ulu Belt, the Kona field system, the breadfruit Ulu Belt system up at Maluaka, and several sites down at Keauhou. Can you go to the next slide, Nate? Currently, we are doing plain table mapping with Auntie Healani out at Honau now. So even though Kamehameha Schools no longer has their plain table mapping program, we continue to plain table map with our students at Honau now. Another big problem, another big program that we've been doing in Miloliʻi is our coastal monitoring. Because we meet with students down there, we have been monitoring our sites down in Miloliʻi since we started our program. Back about approximately 5 years ago, we wrote a grant with through the Hawaii Community Foundation with the Hawaii Pacific University Oceanic Institute to do environmental DNA analysis of our coastal waters. This is an emerging technology that hasn't been around. It's been around not too long. And basically, we are taking monthly water samples and processing the water samples. We're gathering genetic material from the water at several different locations in Miloliʻi. We send it back to Oceanic Institute for analysis, and Oceanic Institute provides us with the type of fish species presence in the water around Miloliʻi. So we can track the if fish species are coming in, if there is a pattern with the type of fish found in Miloliʻi during certain types of the years, and also to actually document, have a database of fish species in and around the Miloliʻi waters. Kaimi?
Yep. Aloha. Where is it? Okay, this is our native Hawaiian garden in Miloliʻi. Kamailio Kalani Learning Lab Garden was created to restore the native plants and preserve our kipuka of the native makalo shrub and the native lolu. The garden is in honor of our former student who unfortunately passed away during the first year in our program. Because of our remote location and isolation with water and other issues, it is hard for us to grow, but we have found creative ways to keep the garden going so that we can have our students take ownership and also build confidence. One day we would like to be able to feed our ohana like the Kaʻū Learning Global Lab, so we can be sustainable when the barge does stop coming to Hawaii. In spring of 2021, we were very fortunate to be part of the Vibrant Hawaii Resilient Hub 2.0, and we were connected with Honeybee Education, and they have allowed to work these and have given us more opportunities to provide resources for our students. The next slide. This is our students' financial literacy program, which I was teaching about business plans. And the goal was to teach our students to give them skills to manage their finances and hopefully be financially independent one day. So this is our award. We received a community award where our students wrote plans that they were interested in doing and pursuing businesses, making sure they cover the 4 Ps: product, placement, price, and promotion. And basically, this is our award that we received a grant to help more with providing opportunities for those students. One of our, next slide. I think one of the biggest projects that we have worked throughout the beginning of our Hīpuʻu program since we started was our partnership with PBS and Hikino. Hikino is a statewide run program for students to show their media. So students have produced student documentaries that are ʻāina-based, mo'olelo capturing culturally relevant and rigorous learning experiences. And students in our program have created documentaries on the biography of Miloliʻi residents. We did a story on the 30-meter telescope. We talked about opelo fishing, marine resource management. We did a story on the alala, the native crow. And then last year, our students did a reflection of COVID, how that affected them. And we just last week was featuring one of our young students' story on the Puna Taiko drums team. So I hope you guys were able to see some of those shows. We also hosted one of the episodes in the past. So we've been very, very fortunate to tell our stories, and that's the creative thing about Hikino and allowing students with a lot of limited resources being able to share and talk about who they are, where they come from. The picture of the right, that's the executive director, Robert Pennybacker, who came to Miloliʻi and shared a lot of knowledge with the students. So they did recordings in the car to help them get good sound. So these are some of the techniques that they use. On the picture on the left is our students working with the Hikino staff. And project-based learning opportunities like Hikino have engaged and motivated students to kuliai kanu'u to strive for excellence. And students working collaboratively with industry partners like Hikino provide them with the confidence and experience, whatever they desire to do, they can Hikino. This past year, Hikino celebrated 10 years. So one of the stories was to highlight 5 of the biggest stories that Hikino felt has impacted Hawaii's climate in all the different educational realms. And our student story on the 30-meter telescope, which won Best News Right, was one of those stories that was highlighted. And this story was about one student's challenge between his own culture and love for science and his dilemma to bridge the gap between both worlds. And due to his work and research, this student won this Best High School News Right. And this just goes to show the power of storytelling with just a camera and tripod. And today he's in Maui pursuing his bachelor's in business at Maui College. So we're very proud of Hōpu. The next slide. One of our recent programs we didn't even know we could do was we received support from Vibrant Hawaii last year in the Hubs 2.0, and they were saying, oh, we're going to bring these 3D printers. And I said, oh, well, Miloliʻi, we don't have any electricity. We're off grid. We don't know how we're going to do them, but let's go. Let's just try. So they have these machines they brought down, and we had a mentor that came, and the students were so amazed. They could do 3D printing out in an open pavilion. And all we did was run a little generator. And it was one of, I think, like one of the most coolest projects, being able to bring that type of STEM education to places like our community. And through that opportunity, they also donated us 2 machines. So our students can continue to do STEM work. We made plaques for our native garden. And also students was able to, there was another activity we did that was a class activity. So this was really cool to see us use 3D printing. All we did was run a small little generator, and the kids did small pieces. And if you can see some of them on that picture. And I can pass it on to Leah.
Okay, aloha everybody. All right, so students are required to do an independent project every year, and it is an integrated unit we call STEM Hīpuʻu. Students choose a topic that they are very passionate about and would love to learn more about. And each letter in the STEM Hīpuʻu is an acronym So like for S stands for science, T stands for technology, E engineering, M math. The second M in STEM is mentor, or utilizing resources and people in the community. Like you see here, we had students go to the Kapa radio station with Kaʻū, and they learned, the different features of how to run a radio station. And they also got to record one of their original music that they produced. And Kaʻū allowed them to do that. And they were featured live on air during that day. And then we go to Hīpuʻu, where H stands for Hawaiian culture. I, involving community and environment. P, performance, presentation, or ho'ike. U, utilization of language, art skills, and research writing, as well as listening skills. And the last U, using visual arts. Slide. Our Hīpuʻu program loves to do community service learning projects. Students and teachers alike enjoy it because we get the opportunity to travel either around the island or around the state. And we had a few opportunities to travel to different countries in the past. We feel that this, gives a great opportunity to travel around, learn about different important wahipanas or different places. Students and teachers also give back to the community that they visit by either doing hana work, like you see here. We had some of the students helping out with the wall building down in Kaʻū. We also love to learn the history and the culture of these different places, meet new people, and we get to explore. So students and teachers alike expand their knowledge in history, culture, place, and also learn about different cultural artifacts.
One of the big things I think a lot of students that come to our program are attracted to our huakaʻis. So as a school, as a charter school, we are fortunate to get to visit many different places. So last few years ago, our whole Hīpuʻu team from the whole island, so all the different sites, was able to hui-pu together, and we went to Mauna Kea to give ho'okupu. This was made from one of our families. They made a 50 feet long leilai to give to the kupuna on Mauna Kea that day, and they did oli and chants at that hoʻokaʻi we did, and they got to go and visit the different places on Mauna Kea at Puʻuhuluhulu and things like that. So each of our hoʻokaʻis that we decide and choose, we try to capture that essence of the place that is also culturally relevant, but also they are learning different things. And this experience was very fulfilling, I think, for many of our families who have never been there or visited, to experience why the people are standing there, what's the purpose and the significance. And I think that's our goal for many of our hoʻokaʻis, is to achieve these types of things for our students, because many of us do that type of work in the community already. So how do we build that practitioner when they eventually grow up and go on to be citizens in our lahui and our world? And the next slide. So one of the things we started during COVID last year, since we had to kind of remotely try to connect our students, was we created, and it is kind of to fall back on their keyword observation, it's called Hoku Nights. And every full moon, we host a show at the kumus, and our students join on, and we get to meet different practitioners in our ʻāina. And it talks about, what practices do we want to talk about and focus on. Last week, we talked about on that full moon on our influencers that use social media platforms to share about their cause. And we have interviewed Mihana Kihoi and Havani Rios. So our students are very, lucky and fortunate they get to come on. The theme for this year, which is kind of cool when I heard Aina's theme, was that Ikawama mo kawama hope, the time in front is the time in back. And in looking back to that time, and people that have come before us as a source of knowledge that will carry us in the future. So every week, every month we do a show, and then we put it on our social media and our platforms, and all of us kumos come in together. We ask the questions and the presentations, or we have the people who come on to give presentations. So it's all different themes we have, but it all relates to a practice about how we want to take care of our place, Hawaii. And you can join us on our Zoom every month. And I pass it back to Pilimai.
So the biggest challenge for our program, and I think is probably true not only for our kula, but kula around Hawaii Island, has been that internet, pilikia, unstable internet. For us to do a virtual online program and meet with our students, I have to really mahalo our students for being so patient with us, with each other, as we navigate these internet challenges that really, who would have known that, this was our future. However, with that being said, I know that even with these challenges, I know that a number of our ohana are very grateful for the availability of an alternative program that allows their keiki, allows their to be at home in the environment. And despite internet, we are moving forward with our program. I believe we were the first charter school to get our online program approved last school year, because the Charter School Commission has new guidelines for online programs as they move forward for charting. So we are very happy that our charter was approved for 5 years. Despite all these internet challenges that we are facing today, I believe that our program is moving forward in the right direction. And even though we are working virtually online, we are still keeping our student engaged in ʻāina-based projects around Hawaii Island, with their kilo and with our culinary classes, being able to provide these culinary classes either at our Miloliʻi site or at our campus at Nanimau, and our huakaʻi opportunities. We are still able to provide a rich ʻāina-based program despite being a virtual program. And of course, COVID has been a challenge this year. And again, I have to aloha our students for being so resilient during this time of COVID and the pandemic and everything, because it is challenging for them, but they seem to be thriving, the students that we are working with online. So mahalo again to Vibrant Hawaii for providing us this opportunity to share about our program. And here are our haumana down in Miloliʻi last week. And are there any questions at all? And a big mahalo to my colleagues, Lei and Kaʻini, mahalo nui loa.
Mahalo nui for being here this morning, Hīpuʻu, and for sharing with us. I just want to open the floor to questions. And feel free to put them in the chat if you don't want to unmute your mic.
I just want to echo, what is coming up in the chat. Like, these are just amazing presentations today to know the work that's going on in our community. One of the things that stood out from that presentation for me that I see in my students that I work with is the storytelling. Our students have amazing stories to tell, and they're not always telling their story. They're humble, right? Like, that is a virtue of our students, but sometimes that means that they're not really letting themselves shine when it comes to telling their story. And so that's something that we talk about a lot. And so I love that, you know, they're having those opportunities, because as they go into like interviews, you know, how can they talk about themselves positively, which is not something that's encouraged, but in a way that's authentic to them. So I really appreciate that you guys are doing that.
So we don't have any questions, but we have another comment. Mahalo for sharing of all the opportunities your students get in visiting areas around the island and the experiences that they encounter. As a closing thought for our Hīpuʻu team, is there anything, if you think about, you know, partnerships or sustainability and the work that you folks do, is there anything that you guys can think of, like would be a call to action for community people or members that might be on the call today? Any partnerships you might be looking for, or future projects and or initiatives that you guys are gearing towards?
Kaʻū, I would say your initiative, not so much through the school, but the fisheries, that is a call to action we need everyone in the community to rise up to. So if you could share about that.
Yeah, I would love to share. So one of the things, like outside of our work as a school, is also to malama the natural resources that we live off of. So our fishing is critical. We're proposing a plan to malama 18.6 miles of coastal line nearing our community to protect the nearshore fisheries, the fish, the coral reefs, the opihi, the different things that sustain us, and we're creating zones, gear restrictions, and bag limits. It's called the community-based subsistence fishing area, and we're going through the process through the admin records with the state, and it's a long and grueling process that we spent over 10-15 years to create. But the goal is that, you know, as our people, our kupuna, they have always had those types of rules and laws, and it goes and it also works aligned with the students. Our students are doing like the EDNA, all those things that complement this community proposal. But I can share the link with you guys on our chat and let you guys know more about that on you know, our community website that talks about that proposal. And it's just ways that I think a lot of people in our other rural communities can relate to, about, you know, seeing that the depletion of natural resources through a lot of different means, such as overfishing and climate change and pollution. So I would love to hope Vibrant Hawaii. I know Janice was listening to our presentation a few weeks ago, so there's a lot going on in the community outside of school.
I think you need public testimony at certain points.
Yeah.
Really nice if, because there's many different organizations that can put this out to their networks, and to be able to, you know, have the mindset and consider this as a pilot that can be utilized in other communities. The hard, you know, work has been done, and so it's imperative this happens, you know, to ensure that our natural resources are sustained. And it's just, you know, this is just a little small piece of the pie that it needs to happen all over. So if you can get that to, you know, maybe Janice would be the best person in terms of all of these communities that are engaged here, so that we can all testify on behalf of this initiative when you need us.
Yeah, definitely. We do public scoping again in the next couple of weeks, and then we go to the board, and if the board approves of it, then it goes to a public hearing, which is basically giving support and non-support for a proposal. So just to kind of share, it's basically it's going to be part of the rules that are that the state DLNR enforces when it comes to fishing in communities all throughout Hawaii, and this will be added. So that's the impact. And as a community, you are now being a manager as well, because you're co-facilitating, co-managing your place and taking ownership. So that's the big result. We create that space and table for us. So hopefully other communities that are listening, they would be interested in doing something similar. I know in Kaʻū, that's definitely what some of our families were interested in knowing more about. So we want to share with them as well. So yes, Susie, I'll definitely share. I just have to find all the information right now, and I can try to send it. If not, I'll send it to Vibrant Hawaii, and then they can disseminate.
Last thing I just want to say, oops, I think I'm off now. Pili might put in the chat, because there's something they didn't share in their presentation that Hīpuʻu is working on that's just really groundbreaking and exciting, and I think is going to be applicable for some Vibrant Hawaii initiatives. And I know with Ashley and some of the initiatives in Puna we're working on is the virtual huaka'i of Miloliʻi. It's really innovative and exciting. And so she's put that in the chat. You can take a picture of that on that where the dots are in the bottom of the chat if you want to get that link. Or just, make sure you check it out. It's very cool.
Got it. Mahalo nui for sharing that, you guys. Mahalo Kaʻīne for the information on the fisheries. And yes, please feel free to share it to Janice, and then she can disseminate to who she thinks best at Vibrant Hawaii, or myself through Susie, if that works better. We just want to be here and help connect you as best we can. Is there any other questions for our Kua'okala Hīpuʻu team?
This is not a question, but I just wanted to share. We just had one of our other kumus jump in to our meeting today. I just wanted to introduce Sherry, Kumu Sherry Jumalan. She just jumped in.
Aloha, sorry so late. I was in a professional development opportunity. So I just wanted to say aloha. I'm one of the Hīpuʻu kumu as well. So aloha, everyone.
Aloha, Sherry. Nice to see you and welcome. Thanks for jumping on. Yeah. And then I guess a last reminder. So anybody who wants to check out the Miloliʻi virtual huaka'i, please check the chat box, copy the link or follow it. And then we also have another one that was dropped into the chat by Julie, and that is our Vibrant Hawaii survey for and maybe she can explain a little bit more. But if you could take a few minutes, if you have time after our meeting, to please complete that for us, so we can do a better job at hosting these events for you.
Mahalo, Tamia. So it's very short. It's 4 questions. And really our goal is to build these networks and connections, right? So as we have people present and share this amazing work that they're doing, we have goals of, expanding our own thinking of what education can look like on Hawaii Island. And we do this by sharing the programs that are doing innovative and transformative work. But then there's also this step of, well, it's one thing to be inspired, but it's another thing to dig in and say, how do we make sure that these programs are sustained? If they have goals of growth, right? How do we pull together and help that? And so you'll see on the survey that we look at the 4 capitals that Vibrant Hawaii talks about. So human capital, your own talent, your own ability and time and energy. Social capital, your networks. So who do you know that might be a good connection for these groups to make? And they may already have them, right? But who do you think of when you listen to them? Natural, the environment, and financial, right? Who might be grant opportunities, funders, in order to build this work? And then do you have ideas of other people doing amazing work that you think we might highlight as well? And we love those ideas too. Thank you. And I think that's it. We're out of time.
Yeah. I just want to give a big mahalo to Julie, to all of our presenters, to Auntie Susie, to Janice, to everyone who made today possible. Mahalo for your time, your energy, and the fabulous, wonderful work that you folks do for your communities, for our Kiki, our Hamana, and everything else. Really appreciate your time today, folks. Mahalo nui.
Have a wonderful.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, thank you.
Mahalo. Mahalo kako.
Aloha.
Okay, we made it through another one of you.
I know.
So
Those are really good presentations. And we didn't have an audience.
I know that was.
Oh, I mean, we did. We had like 27, but still, I feel like a lot of people were missing.
Yeah.
So.
Let's stop the recording.
Oh yeah.